So, Adrian, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, now we're about to start. First of
All right.
all, um, this interview is brought to you by ET Gaming. So basically, ET Gaming is a group of friends, started out as a group of friends that are promoting the Smash scene. And of course, we can expand to other games, but for now, we're expanding in Smash. Um, we provide streaming services, tournaments, like Frame by Frame 4, the first tournament in Steam. We also provide weeklies in the Colegio of Mayagüez every Wednesday. We usually have Melee, and occasionally we have Play M. Sometimes we have other games like Gundam or Skullgirls or PlayStation All Stars. Um, what else? We also have a group of players. We have a group of PM players. We have Gab, the Sonic player. We have me, the Astro, we have Rosa. Basically, we're all about promoting the gaming scene and making a better experience for players in Puerto Rico, having fun while we're at it. So we're gonna start off this series of interviews, and we're gonna start interviewing one of the legends here in Puerto Rico, Lord HDL. Many of you know him, Adrian Perez. He's best known for his link play. He's been around in the scene like since Smash 64, I recall. He's a great competitive player, has had great success here in the scene in Puerto Rico, and has competed in like tournaments like Pound Four and many other tournaments in the States. Has squared off against many of the melee greats. Um, Hello, Jill.
Yeah. What's up?
So, how are you doing?
I'm all right. And yourself?
Yeah, fine. Can you give us a brief history of your gaming career?
So you want like a brief history?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, everybody knows my main focus is melee, but
Yeah,
I just like playing fighting games in general. Um, as far as tournaments, I started entering tournaments with melee, but as far as developing a competitive drive, I'd say the first game that made me do that was Street Fighter Alpha 2. That game came out in arcades in '96. I never entered tournaments for it because I didn't really go to arcades very much back then, and I didn't really know about tournaments, and I was too young really at that time. But that's the game that first made me develop a competitive drive where I actually wanted to get better and play all sorts of players. And then when Smash 64 came out, it was just kind of like a natural transition because I love Nintendo games and characters. So I just picked up Smash 64 and I just put my heart and soul into that game when it came out. So then when Melee came out, it was just like a natural thing. I kept going and I never stopped.
yeah, okay. You obviously started off in the States.
Yes, I mean Melee came out before I moved to Puerto Rico. I didn't enter tournaments. Well, I mean, I guess if you wanna consider like really like tournaments like amongst friends, like not so much the main scene, if you will, then
Yeah,
yes, I did enter those. But as far as like tournaments the way we know them, I didn't really enter those until after moving to Puerto Rico and meeting some players here. And we started, um, well, I'm not really sure if it when it would have happened, but I'd like to think that I encouraged the group that I met here to start a tournament series. They called it Rum and Smash, and
yeah,
the first one happened in 2005.
yeah. Great series of tournaments. Um, Pretty much you've been around for so long. Do you think Well, first of all, you're known for your Link gameplay. Um, what made you pick up Link? Like this is a question that normally people ask and think of you when they see the name Lord HDL. They think of Link. Um, did you pick Link from the start?
Yeah, I did. I'm afraid I don't have a very exciting story to tell you. Basically picked him in Smash 64 because at the time my favorite video game series was The Legend of Zelda. So it was just a natural thing. I love Zelda games, so when Smash 64 came out, I just picked Link. I played every character, but of course my main focus was Link. So when Melee came out, it was just I just kept going.
Are you still maining Link?
It's these days there's kind of a gray line there. I'd like to say that he's still my main, but we all know that I haven't been using him recently.
Yeah.
Um, and there's some good reasons for that. I'll get into that a bit later if you we touch on that. But for now, I would say he's probably my main. He's probably still my main, but he's not the one that I've been focusing on lately.
Yeah, I noticed the usage of your Marth and your Falco lately more than your Link. Um, you're going to Evo. That's great. Along with a few players from Puerto Rico like Excel Zero, Master Gap, and Evo, and a bunch of other great players that are going to represent for the scene of Puerto Rico in Evo. Are you excited?
Oh man, this that was a complete surprise to me. Like they basically, it was Edgar that actually told me um, that they did that the very day, the same day they did it, and
Yeah.
it took me by surprise. I've only ever been to one Evo event, and it was a long time ago, back when Evo still did regional qualifiers. They would have like a Evo West and Evo East,
Hmm.
and I went in 2007 to Evo East, but it's not the same because like back then the main Evo event in Vegas was called Evo World. They've since dropped that moniker and it's just Evo now. And they've got rid of the regional qualifiers. But it's really not the same. Like I felt like that Evo wasn't really like the true authentic Evo experience. So for all intents and purposes, this summer is the real McCoy, and it's basically like a dream come true for me. It's like to go to such a monumental event and to have a shot at all the best players in the world. I mean, I've played the top players before, but this is a whole different league
Yeah.
of competition where like every single pool is like its own major tournament. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. It's pretty stacked. Yeah.
So
Um,
ever since I received the news that that they helped me get to Evo, I've been putting my heart and soul into training for this.
well, what are your expectations in Evo? Where do you wanna? Obviously, you hopefully can win it all, but along with Zero, I wish it could be the three guys here from Puerto Rico doing top three. But what are the realistic expectations you have put on yourself to go to Evo?
I've always been extremely confident because I know what level the competition is at, and I know what level I'm at.
Yeah,
Um, I know what my weaknesses are, and I know that if I overcome them, I could realistically win
yeah,
because I've played all the top players with Link, and I have managed to beat them with Link, and that's not an easy feat. And Link is such a tough character. The matchups are really bad.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm gonna take a different approach this time. It's uh it's definitely gonna make things easier, but by no means easy.
Yeah.
And I have I strongly feel that I have everything needed to win Evo. It's just a matter of doing it. Like actually doing it is going to be the hard part. But if you're asking me if I realistically feel that I'm capable, absolutely. I do think I'm capable without a doubt.
Yeah,
It's just the actual execution of it is going to be the real test.
hopefully we can have a encore from Excel Zero also, and Master Gab, and have you guys rank really high, and just show the world that we have a scene in Puerto Rico that's highly competitive and highly capable of duking out with the best players from around the world. That's the purpose. Um,
Well,
how are you?
unfortunately, I don't believe Master Gab is going unless something changed. The last time I asked him, he said he wouldn't be able to make it.
Oh, it's not. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know if that changed, but the last time I asked, he said he can't make it. So unfortunately, it's just gonna be me, Alan, Edgar, Jorge, and a few others.
oh yeah,
Um,
Eval is a great player too.
a few
Um,
others will be going.
yeah. What is your preparation for Evo? Like mentally, physically, and gaming wise, of course. How are you preparing for this?
Well, there's the obvious execution requirement. Um, Execution has typically been a problem of mine. Not because I'm bad at it per se, but because usually if I go a while without playing, it will it'll I'll take a serious hit in execution for just I could go like a few days without playing, and then when I play the next day, it's like I'm not as good as I was the previous week. So in order to combat that, I've just been playing every single day for at least an hour, usually more than an hour. Since I found out that I could go to Evo, I've been stepping it up and playing a bit longer. But I try not to wear myself out, and I try to play every single day, and try to make all of my training sessions count. Execution is obviously something you got to practice, but it goes beyond that. There are a lot of facets to competition that are outside of the game, and it's really important to focus on those things. So I try to delve into like more spiritual aspects, um, things like emotional control,
Yeah,
what it means to have heart, things like that are really important, I find, because you could have all the skills in the world, you could have all the matchup knowledge in the world, but if you don't have those things, you'll be lacking that crucial extra something that gives people the power to persevere in the most ridiculous of situations. And it sounds like a really zen type thing, like just it kind of sounds to some people like it might be nonsense because you're focusing on like some kind of spiritual faith sort of thing. I guess they kind
yeah,
of see it as like religion or whatever, but I feel like things like that are important. And one thing that I've noticed from any kind of athlete or anyone who's participated in some kind of competition and achieved success, they all say the same thing. You need to have heart. So I did a lot of studying and soul searching on what that means. So that's the sort of preparation that I like to make. The rest of it is, in game practicing execution, reviewing matchups. I've used a lot of action replay to test out scenarios and see what options you might have in a matchup in a given situation, what options both characters have, what are the best options, what are the most likely ones, things like that. Um, Basically, to keep it to sum all that up, I just been pulling out all the stops, and of course, I try to go to the weeklies too.
yeah, yeah. We'll talk about the weeklies later on. Shout outs to all the people who's going to Evo. Bowman, it's a NES player, famous NES player from Puerto Rico. XL Zero, it's a Peach main. Um, he's one of the greatest players who ever lived in Puerto Rico. He's done very great. He did very well at Apex 2014, ranking 25th, beating players like PPU and Cactuar. We have, of course, Adrian, Lord HDL. We have Evo, Edgar, it's a cheap Peach player. He's gone to many major tournaments before and has some success. We have Fox Hater, Mr. Babieka himself. Shout outs to him. We have Laser Kirby, Ivan, who's running the Smash Puerto Rico page and the power rankings. Shout outs to him. And Maximus Pita, Jorge, the Ganon player, who's always been helpful for the community. Now, let's talk about frame by frame 4. The last tournament you streamed here at ET. Overall, did you enjoy the tournament, Sergio?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, a bunch of different people went, got to play a lot of melee. Um, it ran on time. It ended, you know, with time to spare. So I definitely enjoyed that. I felt like I paced myself well, um, between taking breaks and playing. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. There was never like a point in time where I felt like, damn, I need to I need to play, but there were, the setups were taken, or that nobody wanted to play there. I was always able to find games to play and play different people, so I enjoyed it.
Any critiques, any feedback, anything you think might have been done better?
Um, well, I don't know on the spot. Like, I'm not really sure because like I don't know exactly uh everything that you guys did to run it. Well, I do know that there were a couple of seating issues. I don't remember the exact players though, but
Yeah,
the seating could have been a little bit better.
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, more setups is always a good thing.
Yeah, sure.
So setups definitely help a lot. I know that that depends a lot on the contributions of the community. So it really just hinges on that. I felt like there was one point in time where we were playing on the stream setup and we were kind of too close to the people playing Brawl. Their chairs were like kind of forcing us to sit really close to the TV, and I wanted to put the chair a bit back. So stuff like that. I mean, you might think it's a little bit minor, but
No, no, no. It's
things like that could stand to be improved, where like the space is
yeah,
distributed a bit more efficiently. But other than that, I can't complain.
yeah. Thanks. Mm, The weeklies. We've been doing weeklies for since December or like January maybe. We have success. We have great player turnout. Yesterday was one of the greatest weeklies we had. It was a Premier Weekly. We had attendance from Master Gab and Capigot and a bunch of players that came from Area Metro, and we had our representatives from Ponce. We had Sant. We had Willie Matt, a bunch of players too. We had obviously our usual turnout from Mayagüez, and we had you, HDL. How far, so far, are you satisfied with the weeklies, at least with the turnout and the experiences of the weeklies?
I think it's good because every time I go, it's like there's always plenty of people. I never I never feel like we have a shortage of people. Like people just don't want to show up. People, I mean, not everybody always shows up, but most of the time we have plenty of people. They consistently show up, so I'm glad to see that. Um, I don't know. I mean, I was happy. I wish Sant would come a little bit more, but I guess it's like understandable given where he lives.
Yeah, it's
Um,
hard for him.
but yeah, I mean, I was happy. Yeah, like yesterday, I think my favorite aspect of yesterday was I played this guy. I forget his name, but he he used to play Marvel too. And when I found that out, I try I tried to like connect with him on that because I also used to play Marvel too. And I basically like I explained a lot of stuff about the game to him, and I taught him a lot of things. And I like that sort of thing because it's he's one of those players that's willing to listen and like ask questions. And I feel like that's one thing people could do more. That's what I would ideally like to see more out of the weeklies for more people to do. I guess that would be my main complaint with the weeklies. Other than that, the turnout, I mean, the turnout was great and people seem very, eager to play. It's just that one little thing, people feel like they should be more willing to delve into the questions and things a bit more rather than just playing after match after match.
Yeah, yeah. That's a topic we'll talked about a few times. Hopefully, we can improve on that also. Um, the community, the Smash community in Puerto Rico, it's been around for some years now. It's had its up and downs. Right now, what's the state or what? How do you think the community is going now? Like, are you satisfied with the Puerto Rican community?
It's definitely changed a lot since years past. The community here, for all intents and purposes, the community here started like around 2004. So it's been around for like 10 years now, and in that time it's changed plenty. The way it is now is you can't really compare it to the way it was back then. Back then we used to have tournaments like all the time, like at least once a month or once every 2 months. It was actually fairly frequent, and we had less players, I would say. It seems like we have more players now, but they're not as consistently active as our players were a long time ago. So it used to be that anytime we had a tournament, we could we basically got guaranteed attendance from all the players who were like regulars, and it was very easy for us to get like 30-man tournaments. Just with that group. These days we have the potential to get like a 50-man tournament or more, but a lot of the players don't consistently show up to events. So it's kind of a strange way that it is turned out. And of course, we also used to have a dedicated forum which got closed down. Um, and these days, a lot of the community just posts on Facebook page instead. Um, but yeah, it's the community these days is the way I see it is if you have the drive, if you have the interest, then I will do anything I can to help out. If you show that you don't have the interest, then well, you don't have the interest. Can't really do anything about that. The same way that I'm not interested in Marvel 3, the other players seem to have that be that interested in Melee, so you can't really force that. But for those who legitimately care, then yeah, I mean, bring it on. Oh no, did he die? He may have gotten bodied by his internet connection.
Can you hear me, HDL?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, the question I asked. Sorry about the interruption. Uh, how do you think the community can improve overall, like here in Puerto Rico? Like, what's the main thing you think the community should improve upon?
Trying to give one specific answer for something like that is a bit difficult because when it comes to improvement, it's always like multifaceted. So I would say it depends on the person. So for the people who are, I guess you could say, the elder statesmen of the community, um, basically you want to be as welcoming as possible to new players. You want to be as welcoming and understanding Be willing to teach them the game. Don't try and force it upon them because not everybody feels comfortable in a new unknown environment with people that they haven't known for that long. And they're not even really sure how far they want to take this, right? So you can't really force it down their throats. But yeah, definitely you got to be considerate of the new players. As far as the new players, I would say you really, if you haven't taken some humble pills, you definitely need to do that. Because I know there are a lot of people, and it happens in every single scene. Any kind of competitive scene that exists, there are always new players that think they're hot stuff, and you're really not. So, it when we're talking about a game that is so deep that it takes like a decade to master, if not more,
Yeah,
then you really need to just be cool about it, be chill about it, and don't try like if you want to do like friendly trash talk, just joking around, it's fine. But if you're legitimately trying to, you know, trash talk other people, especially insulting people who have been around in the scene much longer than you and know more about tournaments and competition and stuff, basically you just need to chill out. A lot of drama that starts is a result of people just not being considerate of others and not they it's basically a lot of antagonizing and provocation, and I would say you really got to cut all that stuff out. It doesn't matter who you are, how long you've been part of the scene, if you're brand new, if you're old, just you got to cut that stuff out because that doesn't get anybody anywhere. So the ways that the community can improve, in my opinion, is that everybody's got to be more welcoming to new players. All the new players should respect those that have been around for a long time, um, and try and learn from them because we've been doing this for so long. So if you think you got nothing to learn from us, uh, you might want to reevaluate that. Um, and it's not to get into the whole I have more experience than you, therefore I'm better. It's not like that at all. It's just basically you just want to treat everybody with respect and just keep an open mind. You can learn something from everybody. Even you could be like the best player in the world and still learn from someone who's not even close to as good as you. It's funny how that works out, but there's always something really tiny that you can pick up from somebody. So yeah, just community get better. Just stop trying to like incite the drama and just like be chill and be friendly and welcoming to everybody.
yeah, pretty much. Let's talk about melee, which is my favorite topic. Um,
Oh, I can imagine. I hear the game right now.
yeah, I know. I'm putting the match as a background for eye candy for the chat to see. Um, what's your opinion on the current state of melee in the states? Of course, we're entering the platinum age of melee. Are you happy about this? Are you excited? Are you surprised that melee suddenly got back up?
You know, I feel that people don't understand the blessing that has been bestowed upon us because I told you before that I play lots of different fighting games, and of course I like watching a lot of those fighting games. And I've seen the streams and tournaments of other games like so many times, and Melee is a very rare specimen because it is one of the very few games that has lasted as long as it has, and not it hasn't just subsisted, it's thrived and grown, and that's extremely rare to say that. It might actually be the only game that has ever done that for considering how long it's been around. um, the only other games that you might say have still lasted and stood the test of time would be Super Turbo, which it's not growing. Like, let's just be clear. Super Turbo is still played a lot by a lot of dedicated people, but it's not growing. Um, Marvel 2 had something like a 12-year run, I think.
Yeah.
And then it just no more because Marvel 3 came out and everybody ditched Marvel 2. And Marvel 2 it's kind of a cult thing now where basically all the people who love Marvel 2 but hate Marvel 3 keep playing it. Um, I guess you could say Vampire Savior in on GGPO and Japan. That game, despite how old it is, it's still played, but it's more relegated to the the Marvel 2 CVS2 kind of status where only the really dedicated play. But Melee is a different beast because Melee survived Brawl, it survived Project M, and it's most likely gonna survive Smash 4. And it's the only game I can think of that's actually done that. It's survived its sequels, and it managed to do so while growing and thriving and being put on MLG Circuit and in Evo. It's the only game that's ever done that. So as far as the state that Melee's in, could not complain in the slightest. I don't even know what I could say as far as the growth of the scene or like I don't know what I could say that would make it better because it just keeps getting better. Um, all of my criticisms have mostly to do with the level of play of the players and not so much the state of the game and the community.
Yeah. Yeah. The Melee community, the Smash community in general, has been pretty much a unique community along the years with many ups and downs, more ups than downs now. Um, let's talk about just a little about Smash 4. Um, I know it's probably a topic we can't speak much about, and we're probably jumping to the realm of speculating. But what do you think of Smash 4, and what could it mean to the community to your interpretation?
Well, to start, it doesn't matter how you feel about the game. There is something spectacular that started with this game, and it's the fact that we got Nintendo's attention, and they are actually making efforts to ingratiate themselves to us, and it's like this is completely unprecedented, right? So
Yeah,
they've never done this before, and the fact that they're starting to realize how much um, we love their series and to try and help us out and do things for us like the invitational and whatnot. That is the start of something that could be really, really big and really, really good for both of us. Um, Much in the same way that Capcom has often supported tournaments, and even like Ono goes to Evo and like gives out prizes and whatnot. So I would definitely say Smash 4 has helped drive along a really good relationship between the community and Nintendo. But I know you want to hear about the game itself, right? So what I think about the game, um, I think I try, and it's because I've told you this before, but I'm really big on game design, and that's actually is what I'm studying.
yeah,
So from a design perspective, I like to separate um, casual play from competitive play, and I have to be completely honest. I don't really like what I'm seeing from a competitive standpoint, but from a casual standpoint, it looks fantastic. Um, I love some of the things they're doing with the game, like even just like things that ultimately don't even make a dent in the game, but to cumulatively, like all the little touches make it really great. So I saw like a Metroid assist trophy, and that blew my mind. And I also saw an Andros assist trophy, and not the ape Andros, no, the Super Nintendo Star Fox Andros.
that creepy face angle.
the creepy face, and I don't know. I always had an affinity for that Andros because it just had like this air of mystery around it, and you're like, what am I looking at? Like, who is this
Yeah,
guy?
pretty iconic.
Like, what is this entity that I'm fighting? And they put that in the game, and I'm like, oh man, that's awesome that they put that. You know,
Yeah,
they could have easily put the ape Andros, but no, they put that one. It's like yes,
yeah,
but I do see problems with the game's design that will affect the competitive aspect of it. I'm a very big proponent of movement, reliable movement options, and Smash 4 seems to have less of that than Melee does. Um, the best movement option that I could see in the game is rolling, and rolling is like super buff. It's actually really hard to punish rolling now.
yeah. I saw that. Any other mechanics you think that were hindrance the competitive system?
I think the ledge changes. Um, Basically you can't edge hog anymore. It's like if you're grabbing the ledge and somebody else wants to grab it, they kick you out. So it's I don't know what to think of. I'm not gonna judge that right away because I don't know what that implies. I don't know how it's gonna turn out in competitive play because that is completely new. That's not something that's ever been in the Smash series before. I don't like how they did that, but there's a possibility that it might lead to something intricate. So
Yeah,
we'll see how that plays out.
yeah. It could be a more,
It's a little bit disconcerting, but I'm not gonna rule out that it might do good for the game. We'll see.
especially like they always say, melee is a game decided in the ledge. So it's a mechanic like that impacts the game greatly, and we'll see what kind of impact it has on Smash 4
Right.
there. So um, let's go back to melee. We talked about your link play, how you develop that character. Um, you said you're maining Link, but obviously you're not actually maining Link as in you're using it constantly. I haven't seen your Link since I don't know since Rise and Shine. Um, who's your main like your primary character you're using now?
Well, the character that I'm focusing on now is Marth. Um, a lot of people don't know this, but I actually was considering maining Marth when Melee came out. So basically in 2001, um, I liked Marth, and I was actually one of the few people that had played Fire Emblem before, and I wanted to use him, but it kind of felt wrong to turn my back on Link. So I just used them both, and Marth just wound up being like my second character. Um, he's the one I'm focusing on now, and I guess the reason for that is because I feel I want I want a more player versus player experience. See, the issue with Link is that as cool as he is, um, a lot of matchups. Well, not really a lot of matchups. Mostly just like the top characters. Um, it's always like an uphill battle, right? So you fight against Fox, you fight against Sheik or Marth or whatever, and you can beat these characters. Sheik is like practically unwinnable though, and Falcon is borderline unwinnable. The other characters like Fox and Falco, you can beat them, but it's like it's always an uphill battle. You never really feel like you're playing against a player, and you constantly feel like it's a demonstration of why the matchup is bad. So regardless of whether or not you win, you always felt like you had to compensate so much, and the other player had to do not much of anything. Because I mean, if you look at Fox, for example, he has like the simplest punish game like ever. like if Fox gets a chance to punish you, you could just do like up throw up air. It's so easy to do. It does good damage and it leads into more up airs and you could get like 60% off just that. Like somebody makes a mistake, just dashes in, up throw up air, up air, up air, up air, and you that's it. Like 60% or possibly more is gone from just that. But meanwhile, I have to do all this elaborate, intricate stuff with Link that is the result of 13 years of studying the character and developing him and putting so much more heart and soul into him than anyone else has done. And you make one little tiny mistake in spacing, or you were like 1 or 2 frames off with your grab and they managed to avoid it, and it's all downhill from there. I always enjoy the challenge of using a character like that because I feel like if I win or even do well, I actually enjoyed, like when I play Music King, for example, the matches where I got him to 1 stock. I felt good about myself because it was Music King, and it's Sheik, and just the fact that I did that well means that I had to be doing something right. So it's always fun, but it does lack that player versus player experience where I feel like if I use a character like Marth and I lose, then okay, it's not because of the matchup per se. Even if I'm fighting like a Sheik as Marth, I feel like if I lost, then it was my fault because it was mostly me versus the other person and not my character versus an uphill battle.
Yeah. So we're going, what's your current thought on the meta or the? I'm asking this because Newton in one of the interviews uh, said like the game is evolving to a point that you have to use a spacey to win tournaments, and melee seems to be evolving into this spacey meta or the 20xx joke, which I don't really like. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's true to a point. Um, if you look at Skatar 3, 7 of the top 8 used a spacey, and you could say you could say that only 6 did because Mewtwo King plays Sheik, but he did actually counterpick with Fox when he played Armada. Armada was the only player that did not ever use a spacey in the top 8. Everybody else was either a spacey main or had him as a counterpick like Mewtwo King. Um, I feel like the issue is that they're in a class of their own. Fox and Falco are in a class of their own. It's like it's not to the point where the other top characters can't beat them or can't win. I certainly think that you can win a major tournament with a character like Marth. Like I think you could go solo Marth and win a tournament, but it's gonna be much harder to do that than if you were to go just Fox, because Fox practically has no bad matchups in my opinion. The only really bad matchup that he might have, it's not really bad, it's just he has a slight disadvantage. It would be Falco on certain stages. But then on other stages, he goes like even with Falco or has the edge over Falco. But other than that, it's like Fox has like no bad matchups, right? So if you were to go like all Fox, you stand a better chance of winning a tournament than going like all Marth, because I feel like Fox and Falco they're in their own league. It's not huge. It's not a huge step above the other top characters, but it is a noticeable one. Um, and I did mention with Fox and to some extent Falco, the punishes on them they're so easy to do. I mean, you can even consider the lasers a punish. Whenever you're racking up damage with lasers, you're basically constantly punishing the opponent for not blocking or not avoiding them, right? And you can do it from full screen away across the whole stage. You can do that. Um, you can just chain nairs into back airs, into up airs, into up smash, and it's so easy to do. Very low risk, very high reward. They can protect themselves quickly and safely, whether the opponent's in front of them or behind them. They can protect their backside really well. They have shine, which is like get out of jail free. Um, basically, they can be pressured by so many things, and you just like jump out of shield shine, and it's like, yep, get out of jail free. It's basically like a safe Shoryuken almost, um, one that doesn't need any kind of meter. And
Yeah.
yeah, they have so much going, and what was previously thought to be terrible recoveries, ultimately, it turns out their recoveries are actually pretty fantastic. They have Fox and Falco have two of the best recoveries in the game, just because of the sheer amount of options that they have to come back. If you mix up their recoveries correctly, it's really hard to hit them out of
Well,
that. I mean, obviously, if they do it wrong, or if you do your option selects correctly, or if you guess right correctly, you can kill them pretty easily. But you could say that about lots of other characters. Um, and the way they can mix it up is just it's just so powerful. So I would agree to a point. Mewtwo King is right. The game there's 20XX. It definitely is partially true. The game
yeah,
Fox and Falco are really that good, but
yeah,
it's still possible to win with a non-spacey. I don't think you absolutely need a spacey to win a tournament. It's just going to be a lot harder to do it with a non-spacey.
okay. We're about to jump into the match analysis, but before that, we're gonna ask the chat to say some questions, maybe for you, HDL, to answer. So, chat, go ahead and ask some questions you want HDL to answer, and hopefully we can answer them. One of
Keep
the
in mind
questions,
keep in mind that Twitch does actually have like a delay, so some people might not
yeah,
get
that's why
you might not hear this for like another 20 to 40 seconds.
we're gonna start. I'm gonna start by asking a question that was already asked, taking in consideration that lag. What are your thoughts on Project M?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, Cake and Vanilla asked, "What are your thoughts on Project M?"
Project M. I feel like I think it's definitely like the best brawl mod that they've ever made. Um, but personally, I feel like the balance is kind of off because I feel like a lot of characters are basically a lot of things were buffed that didn't need to be buffed, and a lot of like the problem aspects of characters weren't properly addressed. So I feel like as far as like the development team, I don't know exactly who is on the development team, but I could see just through their design choices that they're not they don't really like fully understand the characters and what needed to be better and what could have stayed the same. So you take a character like Link, for example, he has a whole bunch of buffs that he didn't really need, and his problem aspects weren't addressed. Same thing with like Ganon. Um, instead of addressing his problems, they just like made his forward air stronger and more range and stuff like that. Um, it's a fun game, but I feel like there are too many low risk, high reward things in the game where like it has like a lot of easy fox type punishes, except like every character has that. Or not, maybe not every character, but the majority of them. So you get like a hit, and you can get a lot of crazy stuff off of that without having to commit too much or do too many risky things. And you get rewarded really easily. So it's a really fun game, but I don't compete in it for those reasons. I'm really picky when it comes to the games that I want to compete in. Like currently, like with all the fighting games that I play, the only other one besides Melee that I compete in kind of is Vampire Savior.
Yeah.
I don't really play every game just for the sake of it. I pick them like specifically.
Okay, question from Woofer7. I believe that's Sant. He asked, HDL, what do you think I should focus on improving as a player?
See that kind of goes back to the question that you said before of improving the community. It's kind of the same thing here, where improving is always multifaceted. So there are always multiple things that you have to be working on. It's not like just this one thing. Um, it's it's really difficult because there are so many things to work on, And if I tried to sit here and explain them all to you in detail, it would take all night. Um, the first thing I would say that I always recommend to everybody is to identify your level of drive, because that will determine how much you really care and how much you will ultimately sacrifice for for the game. If you decide that you really want to get better, then you need to learn how to improve yourself beyond just playing matches repeatedly, because one of the common pitfalls of people who claim that they want to get better is that they go to these events and the only thing they do is play matches over and over. And there's so much that you're not going to learn just by doing that. So you got to learn how to improve in other ways. So you got to learn how to study videos of top players and try and identify why they in certain situations. You have to learn matchup details, what options the characters have. You have to learn how to improve adaptability, which is probably one of the hardest things to learn how to do. It's not really something that can be taught either. It's something that has to be developed on the personal level to learn how to adapt to any kind of opponent quickly. Um, that's really hard, but it's also one of the most important things. There's a term that I read in an article a while back that I really like. It's called appraisal.
Yeah.
Appraisal is something that you really need to learn how to develop. It means to to be able to identify the relative value of something. So just to explain what that means, um, you would have like a move, for example, let's say Fox or Falco's forward air, which was traditionally thought to be like their worst move. But in certain specific situations, their forward air becomes the best possible move you can use. So that is appraisal, is being able to recognize in this situation, forward air is the best thing you could do, and being able to understand why it's the best thing you could do in that situation. Um, another key skill. Then there are the obvious things like uh, execution consistency and whatnot, which is just practice really, and developing methods of doing things more consistently with the controller that are less likely to fail. So yeah, I'm sorry for the long answer, but there's really no short answer for how do
That
I get
question.
better. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like how do I get better? How do I improve? There's no short answer. There are just so many things
So
to
many.
that.
From technical to mental to spiritual to emotional. There are many aspects of getting better as a player. Okay, this is a question not from the team, but from here, the guys I have around me. This is from ET Jess. He asked, who do you think is the best player in PR, or who in Puerto Rico is going to get the farthest in Eagle?
Um,
You can answer that if you like, or if you,
well, as far as placement in a tournament, the tournament format is kind of a weird thing, because the way that they're doing it, double elimination specifically, is not actually a very accurate way of determining who's better. Actually, the whole tournament environment is not an accurate way of determining who's better, and that's actually a different topic, so I won't go into that right now. But as far as who the best player is here, I would have to give that to me. Um, I know some people would disagree, but I'm extremely confident in myself, and I feel like all the years of experience I have and knowledge of fighting games at large, my track record is has been the best over here. I've beaten top players with Link. They've beaten me more, but just the fact that I've been able to take them out with Link, with a low tier character, that's I mean, I have the privilege of being able to say that I'm the only Link player who's ever done that. Um, so yeah, I'm extremely confident in my own skills. I know what I'm capable of. I know where I stand compared to all the best in the world. So yeah, I gotta give that one to me. I know.
Okay.
No, I'm not just saying it out of bias though. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, to give to clarify, people, the people we're interviewing are the top three players in the melee power rank. These are the players that have shown dominance in the tournaments, in the recent tournaments, and these are the players who we think are the best players in Puerto Rico as of now. The three players that are on top of the power ranking are in no particular order. Adrian, HDL, we have Alan, who's Exclusivo, and Negi, I don't know his real, Angel, Master Gap, Angel, yeah. Another question from, let's see, from Laser QV007, which I believe is Ivan
hmm
from Texas. He asked, what direction do you think the Smash community in Puerto Rico should take? Or what do you think is the most important thing that the community has to improve? Now, this question was kind of addressed earlier, but you can answer it anyways, Adrian.
right. Um, yeah, I guess yeah, I did touch on that a little bit before. I think it's another improved question, so there's no one thing to say. There are always multiple things to when it
Well,
comes to
let me,
improvement. But what I will say, I'll say this: the community definitely needs to chill out a lot more. Obviously, this doesn't apply to everybody, but I have heard the horror stories, and basically, my words to you guys who are responsible or have partaken in that: just chill out, be more considerate and respectful towards everybody, because we're all trying to have a good time here. Um, Regardless of how good someone is or how long they've been around the community, or anything, you just want to chill out. You just want to be a lot more respectful, and just stop trying to incite so much drama. um, Now I can't say that I understand the full extent of that, because I don't have a Facebook account, so I don't see everything firsthand. I've only seen certain things that were shown to me. But in general, regardless of what has happened or what will happen, whatever, just chill out and be more respectful. And because we're all trying to enjoy the game, and we're all trying to, uh, be active and have fun with it. Some of us, like myself, take it really seriously and try to get better. But um, just because someone else is not trying to take it as serious as me, doesn't mean he isn't trying to enjoy it just as much. So yeah, just relax, take a chill pill, and just be respectful towards everybody. It's like the main thing I would say that the community needs to work on.
okay. Let's see. Okay, this question is from Benji09. This is ET Nova, one of our players, who got, I think, ninth in frame by frame four in Project M. It's a Fox player. He's one of the best Marvel 3 players. Shout out to Benji. He asked, if you had to play against another top player, would you pick a character you're comfortable with or just go for a counter pick?
I'm assuming he means top player overall and not Puerto Rico. Um, so I'm just gonna go with that. Okay, when it comes to competition, I almost always strongly encourage going for comfort, because comfort is a big aspect of performing. Um, when you consider what we're doing here, I mean, competing in tournaments is very much a performance art. So being able to perform at the best of ability means you have to be comfortable. by whatever means necessary. There are multiple ways of trying to increase how comfortable you are, and one of them is the character you're using too. I mean, there a lot of what goes on with execution and decision making has to do with subtleties, subconscious things that you might not be fully aware of, but your brain is aware of it. So a lot of sometimes you pick a counter pick character, and you're just not going to make as good decisions unless you are fully comfortable with that character at that point in time. That I should stress that, because you're not always going to be comfortable with a character at all times. Um, but at that point in time, if you're comfortable with that character, you go ahead and counterpick. Um, but otherwise, I would advise against it. Just stick with the one that you're most comfortable with. If that's your main, then pick your main, um, because that will affect your execution and it will affect your decision making, um, on a very much on a subconscious level. You're not really going to notice it, but trust me, it can be the difference between whether you win or lose.
Okay, now correction. Benji got fifth in the Project M tournament, not ninth, of course. Sorry, Benji. Um, uh, this is probably the final question before we go to match analysis. And shout outs to Exo Zero who just left the chat when you hear the recording. Shout outs to you. Thanks for attending. Jumbo Pit 33109 is asking, have you seen improvement from new melee players since the weekly started? Who has impressed you the most in the weeklies?
Well, I haven't gone to every weekly like since it started. It's more of a recent thing, I guess maybe the past 2 months or so. But as far as who I think has improved the most, I it's kind of hard to say because I haven't really gone to most of them. But I'm gonna say it's either Kevin here or Taco, one of the two. Um, I've also seen Samuel improve as well. So
Who?
Samuel,
Samuel.
yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, I'm sorry I can't really just like pick one person because I haven't been around since January or whenever they started. But I have seen, at least in those three, I have seen some noticeable improvement.
yeah. Shout outs to Taco, who's I agree he has improved a lot. um,
Oh
shout outs
yeah,
to some.
I forgot someone. Gab as well. Gab has also improved.
Oh yeah, Gap is a great player. So uh, shout outs to Samuel, our player here, the alien fan favorite. Um, I guess we don't have. Oh yeah, final question. If anyone has more questions, you have 30 seconds to ask them on chat. I'm gonna ask. This is my question. What's the origin of the HDL tag? What does it mean? What's the origin? Can you explain your tag?
I'm afraid that's classified information.
Oh, that's
I can't go ahead and go revealing stuff like that.
yeah. That's I
So,
understand. I
so,
bet that's
so yeah, sorry about that. Can't I can't. That is on a very specific need to know basis.
yeah. It doesn't mean, of course, hyper dark link. It does not mean that. Just to clarify.
I have heard so many things from people guessing, and you'd be surprised how funny some of these things
I would say I would go for hog the ledge, but
are.
I don't.
I think that would be more applicable to Mewtwo King than myself.
So that maybe the chat can figure out what the HDL tag means, and maybe I'll read some of the suggestions. That will be funny. Uh,
rated has the best guess.
hold that L.
That's a new one. I like that one.
Highly destructive life form is another suggestion. Uh, so we're about to jump into match analysis. All these matches, the matches that we're gonna analyze, or mostly HDL is gonna analyze, is from frame by frame four. This is the last tournament that took place in, in Colegio in Mayagüez. It had great attendance, like 20 plus people for each player. Oh, we have another suggestion for your tag, HDL, is hermaphrodite demented laser. That sounds about right.
That is very unique.
Yeah,
That's a very
highly
unique one.
highly dedicated link. That's that's actually true.
Yeah, that one could work.
Yeah. So um, we're going to match analysis. The first match we're gonna see is yourself, Lord HDL, playing Marth against Eva. Shout out to Edgar playing Chic. It was scoring frame by frame four. It was winner semis. What was it? Winner semis or something.
I
We're
think
gonna go.
I think it was quarters. I believe semis was against DSL, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. DSL. Shout out to DSL. We're gonna jump right into that. Let's go. You can keep. You can give me a second while I